Today we're going to be doing a book discussion, which is actually kind of extremely rare for me to do on the channel. I do plan to do a once a month book rant for my Patreons, and I have a poll every month for what book they want me to do a review of on there that they can vote on. But occasionally there is a book that gives you a lot of feelings and surprises you a lot. And sometimes it's in a smaller fandom, so you have no one to rant about or talk about it with. So in those cases, I kind of have to do a book review to express the emotions that the book threw at me and left me with all alone. So yeah, that's what this is going to be. So I do have a video that will be coming out soon. It's going to be another reading vlog for you guys, the last couple books that I'm going to be reading in June, and then maybe a wrap up, we'll see, but for now, you get a book review. Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendare Blake. So Kendare Blake has done a couple different series, but when I found this book and when I started reading her books, this was the first one I got into, and I did not know she wrote other books. Okay, Three Dark Thrones or something, I believe. She wrote that series, but I didn't get into that until last year. I had heard that she did another series. I didn't really check into it. I was more focused on this series at the time, so but I had my reasons. One, the writing really sucked me into this one, and I wasn't willing to try one of her other series if it didn't live up to what this book did, because I think we've all had an author where we really enjoyed one book or one series of, and then we tried another one and it was not very good. It did not live up to anything. It just crashed and burned. I've heard a lot of those. I'm not gonna mention names or anything because I still want to try them, even though I've heard mixed things. But I was worried about that, so that's why I didn't really get into other series for a while of Kendare Blake. But Anna Dressed in Blood was a wild read. It was, I still love it. I still love it to this day. So it was, when I found this book, I picked it up on a whim at the library. My brother was with me. I saw the spine just on the library shelf. I picked it up. It looked interesting. At the time I was going through a phase where I wanted to read horror and scary books, so it figures that's why I picked it up, because it looked like it. So, and it is out there cover. It's really pretty and I like it a lot. Let me tell you what it's about. What actually got me to pick it up and give it a try to read it was not the synopsis. It was praise for it on the back from Holly Black, the author of The Coldest Girl in Cold Town. She said, "It's the old boy meets girl story. If the boy is a wry, self-destructive ghost hunter bent on avenging his father, and the girl is a homicidal ghost trapped in a house full of everyone she's ever murdered. Needless to say, Cass and Anna are my new favorite twosome. When I got to the last page, I flipped back to the first." That was what made me pick it up, and it made my brother read it as well. I finished it first, I'm just saying, so I finished it before him, but then he started reading it. And he liked it just as much. So, but that was what got us in, was crazy synopsises like that makes us pick it up and try it. So, yeah. So really, it was really hard not to get into for me. Like, the writing, it was creepy and it was funny, it was hilarious. It was so hard not to get drawn into, even when Cass is an idiot. Now, Cass is our main character. Cass and his mom move around and they hunt ghosts because his father was a ghost hunter and his father died a couple years ago in a very gruesome way, might I just say. And Cass is bent on avenging his father. So he does a lot of ghost hunting, but he is still in high school. He doesn't really have plans for the future besides ghost hunting, honestly. And his mom apparently is a witch with a cat, which we'll get into later, because that was a whole other spill. But Cass just moves around and stuff, and he is in contact with some friends that his father knew from his ghost hunting days. So he's still in contact with them, and they tell him about some other ghosts. He knows the basics and stuff. He has a special knife, which is what you kill the ghosts and demons and monsters with. I don't know how else to say that. Okay, this is probably really scary for some people. Why did I read this? In hindsight, it wasn't as scary as it sounds to me. I've reread it 2 or 3 times, and it was... Okay, I take it back. There were gruesome parts. There were some gruesome parts. It was also so action and thrilling, and there was a lot of stakes that, like, it wasn't like in a horror movie where you cover your eyes and you freak out and scream. It was gruesome. We kept going. There are stakes. I had characters that I needed to make sure were okay, so I kept going. So, yeah. So one of Cass's pen pals, let's call them, that tells him about certain ghosts, where to find them and stuff, that have been on a killing spree, let's say. So there are some ghosts that like to kill a lot. Some ghosts, Cass says actually in the first chapter, that they don't really quite realize they're dead, so they still try to live normally. But then there are some that are like demons or monsters and go on a rampage and try to kill a lot of people and make them dead too. Stuff like that. So it kind of falls back into that cliche of there's always some evil part. Okay, this makes me think of Insidious quite a bit. One of his pen pals sends him a letter that is kind of overkill, but basically in red lettering that's like dripping, like to make it look like blood, but I'm sure it's not. I actually have no idea if it is or not. I would like to think it's not, just because, but it could be. There's a chance. That says Anna dressed in blood. That's what they send, and that leads him on the trail of Anna. So then he and his mom pick up and move again and change schools again to go hunt down Anna to avenge his dad. So that is the story of it. Basically, we have a determined ghost killer and a demon-like ghost that wants to just be freaking left alone. And he wants to kill her. She is bored and just wants him out of her house, really, okay? So, perfect couple. That actually sounded really weird, even in my head. But yeah, that's it. That's the story. It's interesting because Cass is at this new place, and he's making friends with some people. There's this girl named Carmel. We don't like Carmel for a good portion of the book. Then we meet Thomas. Thomas was weird at first, but then Thomas grows on us, and we like Thomas. So don't you just love those characters that are like your babies and they make the stupidest decisions? That's Cass. He makes really stupid decisions. But we still want him to live, and we're rooting for him still. So Anna, so Cass is kind of tricked into going to this spooky house. Not really tricked because he planned it out, but again, it's Cass, so it's like stupid decisions. But I mean, that's his forte. So these 2 guys take him there, beat him up, which was not in his plan, and leave him in this haunted house that is Anna's house that she haunts. And anyone who steps foot in the house dies. So Anna shows up, freaky-like, and kills the other 2 guys and does not kill Cass. And Cass gets away, okay? But it's Cass. So the next day, he comes back. So, yeah, another thing though is we meet Thomas, who again I mentioned, and Thomas and Cass don't really... like, they're different, but they're good friends. They become great friends. At first, not the same story, but they get there. So first, Thomas does see ghosts. Like he hasn't really had much experience with them, I think, but he does explain to Cass how he's kind of a witch. He can tell like what's linked to them, to their dead. So he's linked to the dead, kind of. Okay, makes sense. So he tells Cass that something's going on with Anna. She's angrier these days and stuff. So, I mean, hence, I mean, there was a gruesome scene when the two guys left Cass for dead in the haunted house. She kind of reached through the window and killed them and some other stuff. It was gruesome. Okay, it was gruesome. We were in so much shock when reading it that part didn't really kick in until the second time reading it, or a little later. A couple minutes after that, actually, it kicks in. Before that, not really. It doesn't really kick in then. But yeah. One of the guys that left Cass for dead does not die. And he gets away, and the police are looking for the one that did die, and Cass is on the suspect list, and it's like all kinds of stuff is going on. Their friend Carmel, who did not see what happened, but did see her ex-boyfriend, who was the one that died, get pulled back in through the window and then die. So, rather gruesomely again. So, like, she gets an idea something happened in the house. So, yeah. They're trying to hide what actually happened from the police, because again, they'd be called crazy. I do want to say that my favorite thing about this book was how Cass just kept coming back, trying to take down Anna, beat her, figure out more about her to take her down, and he's like saying all this stuff to her, how he was gonna beat her, and Anna is just done. She's just done. She keeps kicking Cass out of her house repeatedly. And at one point when he goes in, she does everything in the book. She makes him see hallucinations. She acts like a poltergeist and like makes stuff move around in the kitchen and throws a fit. And he's just laying on the couch exhausted from the hallucinations he saw, and is just like done. And she's throwing a fit that he's not leaving, and it's hilarious. It was hilarious. It was not one of those mushy gushy romantic books. It grew. The romance grew. He wanted to kill her at first. I mean, they had to grow somewhere to where they actually liked each other and didn't want to kill each other. But so Anna did let Cass get away. She did not kill him, and she saved him technically. But so we find out that when any other person is in the house, Anna has like another kind of ghost inside of her, and they share her body. So like when another person besides Cass is in the house, for some reason it does not happen with Cass. She doesn't have this happen with Cass. She can be just normal ghost Anna that's haunted with dead bodies in her house with Cass. But when anyone else shows up in the house, it's like a demon kind of ghost, and she like kills them and all kinds of stuff. So that's what happened. She didn't mean to kill all those people. So like it's really messed up. It gets even more messed up apparently. So Cass really, like, all this stuff is not adding up. Anna is not like any ghost he's seen before, ever even heard of. So he is like so confused, and they've become kind of companions, like friends, really. So it's interesting. And so he and Thomas and Carmel are trying to figure out what happened to Anna, like what's going on, how can they take her down, but still, you know, Cass doesn't really want to kill her exactly, even though she's a ghost. She doesn't want to murder her like he did every other ghost. She's different, and he sees that. Like, she's aware that she's dead and that she's killed people. She didn't mean to, she didn't want to, but I mean, it was out of her control, etc. Other stuff. So it was interesting. And then we find out what did happen to Anna, and that was sad and messed up. And so Cass, we see it through Cass's point of view though, because he is our main character. And there was kind of sadly a moment or two where I did laugh out loud because of his comments, or really almost squealed because of his comments, because he was seeing what happened to Anna through his own eyes. So it was messed up and sad, but still a shipping moment. I have to appreciate the shipping moments, guys. I got to. And they it was awesome. Some stuff happens and some more stuff happens. I do not want to spoil for you guys what all happens. I will tell you here and there in my reviews what like the main points, but I don't want to spoil like the endings and everything really. I will just say that Cass, he's still, even through everything, is hilarious and makes you laugh sometimes. He has, at one point, he brings up to Anna that he's gonna have a serious Old Yeller moment if she doesn't stop acting out. And Old Yeller came out when she was still alive, so of course she got that reference. He didn't think she would, but then he did the math in his head and oh, she got it. So that was interesting. And then last thing I do need to rant about with this book is the ending was killer. The ending was a killer cliffhanger. But like a lot of things progressed, some things were tied up, but not everything was explained. So clearly there was still going to be more after this one. The ending killed me and my brother. We were like, where is book 2? Is there even a book 2? There needs to be. At the time when we read it, there was not a book 2 because it had kind of just come out. But then shortly after, there was a book 2. So that made it all better. Somewhat. It was still sad. But I held out hope. I held out hope. Okay? So book 2 is actually Girl of Nightmares, and this book will also kill you. So throughout the book there is scary scenes and horrifying, and it's like when you don't expect it. Like it's when you do not expect them to happen that they happen. Okay? So that was a bit surprising. Now, we do get some more story told about Cass's dad throughout the book, but we really don't know a whole lot about the ghost hunting community, because I mean they have pen pals that help each other out and different stuff, but that everything else is tied up in book 2 and explained more then. Have any of you read Anna Dressed in Blood? What did you think of it? Have you read the sequel as well? If so, what did you think there as well? Please do not spoil it for anyone in the comments. Have you read any others of Kendare Blake's books? If so, what did you think? Did you like Anna Dressed in Blood better or Three Dark Thrones better? I honestly like Anna Dressed in Blood better, but that's just me. It was different than Three Dark Thrones, like everything, and it was the same writing. Kendare Blake's writing really drags you in, but Anna Dressed in Blood was just a different kind of story and aspect that I really enjoyed more. And I set up a Patreon finally, so I have my first blooper video on there for you guys that was very humiliating, and I have a poll up for my Patreons to pick what books they want me to review for them next. And that book review, I do once a month, one book review specifically for them, and that is totally their choice what it will be. And those book reviews are set only for them, not for on the channel. The channel I tend to do more just random videos to do with books that are fun. Occasionally puggish stuff. So if you guys want some more book reviews, more funny puggish videos with biscuits specifically in them, go check out the Patreon. The link is down below in the description. And thank you guys for watching. Have a good one. Bye.